Okay, waiting room has been disabled. We have a co-host. Can we turn off annotations if that's possible? Okay, everyone is muted. The video is pinned. All right, great. Okay, so first we have some ground rules over here. The timing for this workshop is between half an hour to 45 minutes, inshallah. Questions will be taken. You can take questions anytime during the workshop. If you want to ask questions using the mic, you can wait till the end of the workshop. We have a question answer session. I would recommend everyone to take notes during this workshop. Hopefully you will find something that is very useful for you. And I would recommend everyone also to keep their mobile phones on silent if they are attending this from a laptop. If you're attending from the mobile phone, then I would recommend that you stick to the workshop as much as possible. A short introduction. My name is Mohammad Abdul. I'm a mindfulness coach and also an associate coach at MUMKIN. I enjoy working with the youth between 13 to 23 years old. I help them achieve their goals, overcome their challenges. Some special things about me is that I have a love for languages. I speak 3 languages fluently, alhamdulillah. Right. Before we start, I would like to make it clear that the points mentioned in this workshop are valid for children and teenagers of all ages. So let's start with a story here. This story is about a certain 14-year-old. So this 14-year-old was having a bad relationship with his parents and his siblings, and he would stay in his room all day and watch TV, watch cartoons, etc. And his relationship was slowly getting worse with his parents and siblings. So his parents referred him to one of our coaches. And this coach sat down with him and for the next 6 months worked with him. So he sat down and started asking him why he had a bad relationship with his parents. So he said that my parents prefer my siblings over me. So the coach sat down and showed him the positive side of his parents and how his parents actually took care of him and actually showed him the love and affection he deserved. Uh, what the coach also saw was this kid lacked some vision in his life. So he sat down and asked him what career would he like to work in or what field would he like to study in. And based on that, the coach sat down and planned with him some of his future studies. And based on his future studies, he decided what he would like to study now. And this kid got a sense of vision from working with this coach. So over these months, his relationship started getting better with his parents and his siblings, and his mother started noticing some positive changes with him. So one of the important lessons we can take from this story is that if a child does not have a vision or a sense of purpose in his life, it is easy for him to get annoyed at his parents and siblings. It makes it easier for him to get distracted, and it doesn't provide him anything useful to keep him busy. And so that's one of the things we will be talking about in this workshop, how to instill a sense of purpose within our kids. Okay. So our workshop, we have around 4 parts to this workshop. First of all, we'll talk about instilling a sense of purpose within our kids. We'll talk about the ultimate purpose of life, and we'll learn how to ask them insightful questions. The second thing we have here is to get them engaged in productive activities, find out what your children enjoy, and help them discover their talent. The third part, which is also very important, is to how to reduce kids' screen time. This is done by setting down expectations and consequences and providing fun alternatives. And there are also some other tips that I'll provide over here. And finally, we have a few guidelines to help you along the way. Okay, so let's enter part 1, which is instilling a sense of purpose within our kids. And here we have a question, which I would like you to answer in the chat, which is why should we put a sense of purpose within our kids? So let me know what you think of this in the chat. Okay. Abdul Umar says to lead a better life. Yes. That's correct. Um, Seher says, so that they do not have to rely on outside influences to form their choices. Yes, that's a very reflective answer. I'll wait for a few more answers and then we'll move on. Everything has, Mohammad Heather says, everything has purpose, so as our life. Yes, our life also has to have a purpose. Mahin says, so that they choose and make better decisions in their life. Sister Nigat says, so they have meaningful life. Yes, these are all very good answers. Okay, so let's discuss some of the answers you have in the next slide. A sense of purpose. The importance of a sense of purpose to a child is, first of all, it serves as an anchor. During this child's life, or when he grows up, there will certainly be times of difficulty he will face. And during these times, if he has a sense of purpose, he will be grounded. He will not waver. He will stick to his ground. He will know what is right and wrong. Second of all, it gives them a clear path in life. When they know that they have an ultimate purpose in life, they have something to work towards, they know what they should be and should not be doing. Third of all, it saves them from despair. It saves them from giving up. When they know, if they're facing hard times, but they know that they have a strong purpose and they have to achieve, they will not give up. The fourth benefit of a purpose is it helps them make tough decisions. If they are at a point in life where they have to choose between two very important things and they are not sure what to choose, their sense of purpose helps them decide. And the last thing here, it helps them prioritize. Now, one very important thing that we should talk to our kids about is to talk about the ultimate purpose. Our ultimate purpose in this life is to achieve success in the afterlife. This is one of life's greatest principles. And we should explain this to our children depending on their age. So we should explain to them that we live in this world and our goal is to achieve success in the afterlife. Right. Another important thing is to discuss with them the importance of Muslim identity. Make your kids proud of their religion and identity, and tell them how Muslims are different than others and how they should be proud of that. Now, why is this important? This is important because children in this age are exposed to all sorts of media, all sorts of TV shows, TV cartoons, and etc. And some of these have influences that are not Islamic or that are damaging to the Muslim identity. So when children are exposed to this over a long period of time, they might decide to adopt some of these practices which are not Islamic, and they might decide to uh, accept some of these ideologies which are coming from the West. So if the kids have a strong sense of their Muslim identity, they can defend themselves from such ideas. Ask them insightful questions. Ask your children questions to show them the purpose of their actions. Children are much more understanding and cooperative if they know. The example I've put here is of fruits and vegetables. So many kids don't like eating fruits and vegetables, but if you sit down and ask them, for example, beta, do you know why we eat fruits and vegetables? So the kid will think about that, and the parent will ask the kid, do you know that we get vitamins and minerals from these? Do you know that fruits and vegetables are important for nourishing our body? And so when the kids know the purpose behind what you're telling them to do, they are much more cooperative. How a coach helps, how a coach helps a child in this regard is that he asks him insightful questions, and these questions reveal the purpose behind what the child is doing or what he wants to do. Let's come to part 2, engaging your children in productive activities. Now I have another question here. What do we mean by productive activities? I would like you to answer in the chat. Sister Shafaq says something that gives meaningful results aligned with the purpose. That's a very good answer. Yeah. I'm waiting for some more answers and then we'll move on. Brother Ayan says fun and learning together. Okay. Mrs. Khawar says activity which is purposeful and child can learn from the outcome of that activity. Very good. Yes. All right. Okay. So why should we get them involved in productive activities? First of all, it boosts their creativity and confidence. It helps them understand their preference in activities. This can be helpful when choosing a career. So if a child understands that, for example, if a child understands at an early age that he likes, for example, buying and selling, so in the future, this will help him make a preference, or this will help him make a choice when he decides on his career. For example, if a child knows at an early age that he likes teaching, or that he likes computer programming, or that he likes sports, this will help him in the future when he is choosing his career. It helps them stay away from harmful activities and habits. When kids are involved in positive activities, uh, this helps them stay away from negative activities. This is a very important factor as well. Over here, we have a point which is find out what your children enjoy. Children want to do activities that they like. This might not necessarily be what the parents want them to do, and parents should be aware of this fact. Instead of the parents making their child do something that he or she does not necessarily like, they should ask him or her what they like. And once a child does the thing that they like, they will be more happy and satisfied with that, and they have a higher chance of continuing it. Discover where the talent lies. Every child has a certain field they excel in more than others. One of the most empowering things for a child is to discover what that thing is. And again, this will help them in the future when they want to make a choice about what they want to study or in what field they want to work. So how do we find out our child's talent? So we have, for example, we want to discover our child's talent and we're looking for ways to discover it. This can be done through many ways, including asking the close circle of friends and family. The close circle of friends and family are the people that are most familiar with this person and they know the most about him. And if they are asked, then they can give the most accurate answers about him. Observing what he or she likes. A parent can observe what his or her child likes in terms of activities, in terms of subjects to study, and based on that, they can find out his or her talent. Strength finders, this is more for the older age group. So these are specific tests which reveal the personality of the child and where his talent lies. And the last point here is experimenting with activities in different fields. So let's come on to part 3, how to reduce your kids' screen time. First of all, we should understand that screen time cannot be avoided. With technology having become so common, it is unreasonable to completely cut off your children from it. One other very important point here is because of COVID, many schools have online learning and kids have to attend school through their screens. So this is definitely something that cannot be avoided. Second thing is explain why you are limiting their time. If your kids just think you're being mean, they are more likely to resist your rules. And the opposite of this is true. So if your kids understand that you're limiting their screen time for a specific reason, they are more likely to cooperate with you and keep control of their screen time. So based on your child's age, explain why violent video games and movies can be harmful to them. Number three is set down clear expectations and consequences. Sit down with your kids and agree upon the time, whether it is 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, etc. Sit down with them and agree upon the certain time. Make clear the consequences they will face if they do not control their screen time. For example, loss of privileges, they might lose their opportunity to go outside, or they might lose the opportunity to, eat ice cream or something like that. So when you set down the time with your kids, for example, 2 hours or 3 hours, the kids know in clear terms how much time they are allowed to use, and they also know the consequences of not keeping control of their screen time. Be stern, but also kind in implementing these rules you have created. Now, why am I saying be stern? Because if the kids are constantly exceeding their screen time and you are not doing anything about it, they will get comfortable with that and they might develop a habit of using their screen excessively. So you have to watch out if they are breaking the rules, but also be kind, because if you are aggressive, if you're overly aggressive, your kids might be turned away from you and they might resent you for that. Another point here is to be realistic. What I mean by that is that if your kids right now are using their screens for a very long time, let's say like 4 hours or 5 hours, and you want to cut down their screen time, you have to be realistic. You have to understand that you cannot jump from, for example, 5 hours straight down to 2 hours. So you have to set down some realistic goals and some smaller goals at the beginning. So you might want to cut it down from 5 hours to, for example, 4 hours for the first week, and then for the next week, 3 hours. And eventually you want to bring it down to 2 hours, depending on your child's age. You can check out the recommended guidelines for screen time for kids. It differs according to age. So that's also another important point. Provide fun alternatives. An important question a parent should ask himself or herself is that if I don't want my child to be on his or her screen, what do I want him to do? Now, when providing an alternative, it has to be fun and entertaining. It should be entertaining enough to get the kid off the screen. Right? The alternatives you provide must be entertaining as well. Okay. Number 5 is to be a good role model. Now, children are very smart and they see their parents as role models. And when they see their parents using their screens unnecessarily or excessively, they understand that, they can observe that. When parents spend unnecessary time on the screen, it agitates the kids. It makes them annoyed with them. They think that my father or my mother is telling me to control my screen time, but they themselves are not controlling it. So how can they expect me to do that? And they will resent their parents for that. And this parents' behavior of using their screen excessively will kind of be counterproductive to getting their kids to control their screen time. Number 6 is to put the screen in a specific area where you can see it. This applies to children aged 10 and under. This prevents the kids from being able to use their devices without their parents' knowledge. Okay, so we have talked about how to reduce the kids' screen time as well. Now, here are a few guidelines to help you along the way. Start spending more time with your kids. In order to get kids engaged in useful activities, parents have to dedicate some time to them. Now, if a parent wants to reduce their kids' screen time and wants to engage them in productive activities, the parent has to get involved with the children. He has to start spending time with the children. He has to start talking with them to discover what they like, what they don't like, to discover, for example, what challenges they're having. So all of this requires more time spent with them. You have to spend time with them in order to get them engaged in positive activities. Second point here is to improve your relationship with your kids. This is done through improving your parenting habits, which include building trust with your children, accepting and acknowledging feelings. This is a very important point. Avoiding sarcasm and comparison. Sarcasm is something that parents sometimes use, which is counterproductive, which does not get the goal or does not achieve the goal that the parent wants with their children. Improving your relationship will make it much easier to do the rest. So once you have a good relationship with your kids, it makes it much easier to control their screen time, to get them involved in productive activities, to instill a sense of purpose within them, or to get them to cooperate in whatever you have decided to do. All right. So in this workshop, we have talked about instilling a sense of purpose in our children and engaging them in useful activities and instilling a sense of and reducing their screen time. So do you know who else can help with this? A coach. Now, what I am talking about here is that a coach can help your child instill a sense of purpose, discover the purpose that your child has behind what he is trying to achieve or what he is currently doing, and engaging them in useful activities. And so whoever is interested among you people to get involved with us and to contact one of our coaches or to contact me, you can fill out this form, which only takes a few minutes. And all forms received this week will receive a free coaching session. If you would like your child to work with me, then you can get him or her to fill out this form. Or if you would like to work with me yourself as a parent, you can also do that. And you can fill out this form as well. So this form will give you a free coaching session. In this free session, we will be looking at where your child is in different aspects of life. And we will talk about where he is in terms of those aspects, and we'll also talk about why that's important to him. So let's recap what we have discussed in this workshop. We talked about instilling a sense of purpose within our kids, talking about the ultimate purpose, asking them insightful questions. We also talked about getting them engaged in productive activities, finding out what they enjoy and helping them discover their talent. And we talked about reducing kids' screen time by setting down expectations and consequences and providing fun alternatives. And we also talked about a few guidelines to help you along the way. Okay. So here is a short description about MUMKIN. We are a team of highly qualified and professional coaches, certified from multiple schools of coaching, and we provide various coaching services. All right, so now we get to the question and answer session. If anyone has any questions or would like to give any suggestions, and also if you guys would like to mention what was most useful for you, that would also be great. It looks like there are not many questions here. So what was the most useful thing you got out of this workshop? How do we discipline our children? This is a good question, although the answer could be long for this. There are many parenting habits that a parent should work on, which we have not discussed in this workshop as it was not a part of it. But all these parenting habits will slowly improve the parent's ability to discipline his children. These include not judging your children, building relationships of trust, avoiding comparisons, for example, avoiding comparing children with their siblings, avoiding sarcasm, and so on. So there are many parenting habits which we have not discussed here, but all these parenting habits, if a parent works to develop them, they can discipline their children easier. What are some of the alternative fun activities for kids? Brother Muhammad is asking. you might like to sit down with your kids and ask them this question. You can also ask other parents what they get their children involved in, and you can get an idea from that. You can also search online or search within your city, within the place you live, if there are any parks or any theme parks or places where kids can go outside or things like that, and you can also utilize those. Sister Maheen is asking, how can I make my 5 years old daughter confident and less shy in the class? Hmm. Hmm. That's an interesting question. My humble suggestion over here would be that uh, you sit down with her and talk to her about uh, why she is shy in class and why should she be more confident. Hopefully, these questions, if you ask her these questions, she will understand and she will put some effort to try to be more confident. Okay, Mr. Aisha says, few mothers take help of mobile to keep the kid busy. My question is somewhat same as that of Brother Muhammad. Hmm. So she means that a few mothers take help of mobile to keep the kid busy. What are some of the alternative activities that we can get involved with kids? So with younger children, I would suggest coloring, painting, you know, things that get their hands involved and keep them busy. You could also buy a pet for them. Some of my siblings are involved with that, and it's very entertaining. It keeps kids very busy, and it's a very fun alternative. Uh, what else? I mean, there are many creative games, many creative activities that parents can, search up on and get their kids busy with. Okay, so that's the end of the questions here. If anybody has any further questions or if they would like to tell us what was most useful for them, that would be great. Otherwise, we will come to the end of this workshop. Okay, Brother Isaac says, do you recommend screen time limit? Should I scold if they go over? I would definitely recommend a screen time limit. You can check out the guidelines that are recommended by doctors. I think that it is 1 hour or sorry, under 2 years old should have no screen time, I think. And between 2 to 12 years old or 2 to 10 years old, they should have, I think, maximum of 2 hours per day. So check out the guidelines for screen time for kids. And if they go over, you should discipline them in a kind way, like with kindness and with wisdom, using the points that I have discussed above, and meaning that explaining to them why you're limiting their screen time. You're not just being rude or being cruel to them by limiting their screen time. There's a certain purpose that you want to achieve, and by using wisdom, you can also use certain programs that allow you to have control over the device that the child is using as well. Okay. Mrs. Khower says, fed up with teenage tantrums. So I think that, again, this is my humble opinion. If uh, parents were to sit down with their children and establish a deep relationship with them, a good relationship with them, their tantrums would decrease. Also, if the parents were to sit down and ask these teenagers deep questions about what challenges they are facing in life and how the parents can help them overcome these challenges, that would also be helpful. Sometimes teenagers have some certain challenges, which because of that, they are showing tantrums, and the parents might not know these challenges unless they sit down and talk to them. So this is one humble suggestion that I would suggest. Sister Aisha says, I would highly encourage moms to take this advice, as I have seen moms handing over mobile to kids in the masjid. Okay. Uh, Sister Aisha's point is very valid. Uh, the mobile phone is not the ultimate solution when it comes to keeping our kids busy. Of course, sometimes we don't have a choice, and this is understandable. Let's say that uh, one father, for example, went to the mosque to pray, and he went with his young son, and this son started crying, and to keep the child entertained, he gave him his phone. Now, sometimes the parent has no choice. Like in this case, the parent did not have much of a choice. Either he gives the child the phone or the child keeps crying. And if the child cries, everyone in the mosque would be annoyed from that. So sometimes we have no choice. But usually, if we use our minds creatively and we think of other choices, many other choices are available if we are at home and so on. So parents should consider that, because giving your mobile phones to your kids uh, as the perfect activity for all times, this might not be very constructive in for the behavior of that child. Okay, so we are at the end of our question and answer sessions, and I would like to thank you all for coming. Mashallah, you provided some very good feedback. You provided some very good answers for our questions, and also some insightful questions at the end of this workshop, which I enjoyed answering. Okay, Jazakallah khair. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Inshallah, I'll see you all again in another workshop. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.